Oh, hello, you're back. First of many knots on this new screen that we've put in. It's been a bit of a delay. We had the other two screens put in a number of weeks ago, but we've had to wait for more of this rope to arrive from Japan. But we're probably going to end up with another 30 or 40 of these type of knots added to this screen to finish it off. It will make a perfect backdrop for the Hokkaido Blue Juniper project tree that I introduced you to last week. So the next job for us is to mock up the pedestal, which really will be sitting in this kind of space. We'll be making it from breeze blocks with a slab top, which we'll put a piece of marble on for a decorative finish and to spin on a turntable so that we can rotate the tree to get even sunlight from all sides.
But now, off to our first viewer-submitted garden tour.
Good morning and welcome to another sunny day in North Wales. I'd like to take this opportunity to just give you a quick look around my garden, which I've been working on now for many years. When we first moved here, the back garden was a steep slope going down to a small stream at the bottom. A great deal of work, time and effort has resulted in several layers to the garden, of which now has been extensively built and modified. I'm just showing you now a general view, and we'll move into the garden and show you in more detail various aspects and parts and trees, and hope that it'll be of some interest to you. Here we are again, ground level this time, just a quick walk through the trees. Like most bonsai enthusiasts, far too many trees here. We're walking on solid ground at the moment, heading down towards what becomes reclaimed ground. Notice on the left hand side there's a huge Elaeagnus. I have trouble with this tree, really challenging. Tends to do what it wants to do, not what I want it to do. Small garden here on the left hand side, which looks up towards the house, which has developed over the last few years. I'm an avid collector of sculpture as well, probably something like about 26 or more in the actual garden. Okay, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the tour.
I'm sure you'd agree that's a fantastic collection of trees, and it's always interesting to see how other people choose to use their gardens and green space.
So we're now going to talk foliar feeds, and the first real rule with foliar feeds is to try to apply them, I'm going to say after the sun goes down, but later in the day is certainly better. As the trees open their pores, it allows more of that foliar feed to enter. And foliar feeding should be a supplementary feed on top of whatever routine you have for your trees, whether it's a liquid or a slow release fertilizer, but it makes a great addition to keep your trees nice and green and to boost both foliage and root growth on those trees. So we have a whole range of trees here. We have a Korean hornbeam, an azalea and a juniper a little bit further down. And it's really quite simple. We use a 5-litre sprayer with a seaweed which is actually produced locally to our nursery. And you spray the tree all over. I say this is better in the evening. It's actually approaching late afternoon here at the nursery, but we obviously needs must for filming. So we've given this a good spray all over the top, and that includes spraying underneath. If you were using a method for pest control as part of the same spray, it's definitely important that you get the underneath of the foliage. But we'll spray them all over. I suspect this is going to take me a few more minutes and certainly longer to get round the rest of the nursery. So I will get on with this and I'll catch you back in another half an hour or so. Here's a piece for the beginners that are hopefully watching this series. Here we have two Chinese elms. They are both typical garden centre bonsai, for want of better wording. But you often see posts on social media about whether a tree is dead or whether it's alive and what can they do. And some of the advice that gets given is to do a scratch test. And obviously, as beginners, you may not know what the scratch test is. So we're going to quickly do a scratch test on this tree. Now, we can clearly see that the tree has suffered, but there are new buds on this tree, so it is safe to assume that the tree is alive, and that this scratch test will prove that the tree is alive. But we'll go through that very quick process and explain how you do it and what to look for. Because if you are wondering whether you should throw a tree out or not, then this would be the answer to that question. So what you're going to need is something sharp. In some instances it could be a thumbnail, a pair of scissors, or a knife. I'm going to use a small sharp knife that gets used for lots of things around the nursery. But we take the tree, and you can either start higher up and work your way down, because sometimes the top of the tree may have died off, and the scratch test will show that, but there may well be life further down. But we'll pick a spot on this particular tree and we will go through that. And what I've done is put a relatively small nick in the bark of this tree, and we can see quite clearly underneath that there is nice bright green, and therefore this tree is still alive. If that had been all brown with no visible bright green, then really we would be looking to throw this tree away. We could potentially check further down the trunk and do the same test, because it's possible that the tree will throw out new buds from any available point up to where that tree is still alive. So if you are wondering whether your tree is dead and you get given advice to do the scratch test, then that is how you carry it out, and hopefully your tree is still alive and you can carry on growing it. Well, I think that's it for this episode. My remaining job is to finish those knots on that screen. I think I can go back to the sunglasses for that one. See you next episode.